Okay, so in the previous session, we had regular expressions, and before that we had decorators, and then before that we had starting of OOPs, right? Object-oriented programming systems. So let's continue from there because this is also very important. Since regex and decorators are very important in the real-world application development, that's where we had a touch base with those two concepts. Okay, and we will resume for object-oriented programming. Oops. So let's do a small program. Let's say this program would talk about accessing attributes and methods of the class, and also one is with dynamic, other one is with static. Okay, so let me clear the class. For example, let's say person class. For example, so person class has one attribute, one class attribute. Let's say um, person name, not name. Let's say person height, for example. So let's say 160 centimeter, for example. That's fine. And here, this is the class attribute. Okay. And when I write some constructor in it, right? And here, so person name. Imagine we just had a only one attribute, so only one parameter, which is name, right? And self dot name equal to name, right? Just let's quickly create this particular attribute for a particular for this person class. Let us create a instance of it or object of it. So how we can do it? So let's say person one equal to person, isn't it? But when I do this, what is the problem here? So in this particular case, so there is a class attribute and there is a class method. There's a magic method, right? So when I how what will what is the difference between normal method and the magic method of constructor? So this magic method will be called automatically whenever we call this whenever we create the object for the particular class. So in this case, here we are creating object for person class, right? So if I go and trigger this, it's not happy. Why? Because this is defaultly taken care. This is defaultly taken care invoked actually. Person class, right? So person class defaultly this magic method is invoked. That's where it is not happy with it. Got it? So to accommodate this, what is our approach? To accommodate this, what we need to do? We need to pass the value for this name, isn't it? Let's say if I pass, or you can directly pass something like this. See, you can pass values in multiple ways. So since there is only one attribute there, one parameter there, since only one function parameter, so you have to pass only one parameter here. Say, for example, let's say Rahul, right? And if I trigger this now, this time it's happy because for this particular function, it required one parameter. We passed it. Correct. So this is how we can pass normal what is this? So this is a call by value, right? This is a call by value, right? Because you're calling a function, its value. And what is the reference? You can also pass something like this. Let's say um, name equal to John Doe, for example, right? And now I'm creating person two equal to person, and here instead of passing the value, this time I'll pass the name. You got it? If I pass name, what will happen? If I go and trigger this time again, see, happy. So let me put some print statement here. Print, let's say person name is person name is here. Say self dot name. Make sense? If I go and trigger this, did you see this? Two times. First time, we passed value. It went here, value went here, and we are printing self dot name. You got it? So what is this self dot name? Self dot name is an instant attribute. So what is the difference between normal attribute and the instant attribute? So normal attribute, that the lifetime, the normal variable, right? Lifetime is within the class, so within that particular function. But when you define a when you define an attribute with the instance, right? Instant name, right? Self dot name. What does it really mean? What is the accessibility of this? Anywhere in the class. Got it? So here, that's where, since for this particular object we passed Rahul, it went here, and we are storing the Rahul information into self.name, and we are just printing out. And for this, we define a name equal to some variable, some value of person, right? Name of the person, and I'm here passing person to equal to person of name. Here, what I'm passing the reference of it. So that's where this is like with the value and with the reference. Yeah, these two things. And so when it comes to as you already aware, when it comes to the class is a blueprint. Blueprint, which means what? Using that blueprint, I can create a number of objects of this class. Okay, it's not limited to one or two. You can create a number of persons. You can create 100, 200, any number. You got it? In the real time. So how this can be worked out? For example, let's take about some basic functionality in the real time. Also, how we do? Let me quickly have one example. So think about a use case where you want to work on certain activity, where you want to perform calculations, for example. That particular time, what we do is we will go ahead and create a class. Let's say, what is the class name? Class. Guys, make sure that the first letter, the standard, right? The first letter is, we should write a capital letter. Calculator. Got it? And in order to do any calculation, so what is the basic thing? It required two inputs, right? X and Y, or A and B, for example. You got it? Now, so for doing any calculation, let's say, what you need to do the installation, what you have to do? Init, right? It requires how many? Calculator function. No, this is how we should think, guys. Understood? For calculator, basically it required two operands, right? Got it? So say X and Y, for example, or say X and Y, that's okay. X and Y. Got it? And you want to do with this, see, and also what you want to do. You want to use these values, correct? You want to use these values in the another method. For example, let's say, let me do pass here. And if I do this, let's say if I want to do a power of X and Y, let's say power, right? Power of, that's it. And here return what, how, like what I can return? Any volunteer here? If I want to get the power of X and Y, X double star Y. You got it? Right? But what is the problem here? So here, see, there is no X, there is no Y, right? So I cannot use like this. But when I can use, so I want to use this X and Y into another method. If I want to do it, what I should do here? I should write self dot X equal to X. Got it? And what is the next one? Self dot Y equal to Y. Guys, makes sense, huh? You're getting? No, now did you understood why we have written this? Even in the real time, you were asked to write a class which would perform exactly like this. So currently, since the scenario you can easily remember and you can easily think of for doing a calculator operation, so we might require two X and Y, two operands, right? So here these are two operands are X and Y, and since X and Y want to use, let's say cell dot X to be used, in another methods. Even this as well. As it is a instant attribute. Here, what is instance? Self dot. Okay. So lifetime is and anywhere in the class now. You got it? Now power, how we can do a power? Self dot x. You got it? Double star self dot y. Guys, makes sense, huh? Did you understood how this was written? For example, let us also do a basic division operator, x by y, for example. So for x by y, what you should do? You should write self dot x modulus self dot y, not modulus, by division by, right? Yeah, division, right? Did you see division function? Division function not taking any inputs, guys. Observed, huh? Division function, even power function, not taking inputs. It is not. It is not having any parameter here except self. So that's where the power of self here. You got it? So whenever you have a self, which means that a whenever I define something on the top, right, it can be used. Let's say written. So self dot x by self dot y. Guys, is it clear? You understood, right? How this was written and how why this was written like this. You guys clear? Huh? Any confusion on this from anyone? Any confusion? Now, see here. Now you are clear that you have written like this. In the real time also, what we do is we will not we will not write the class in one place and they here itself we will do like calculator one equal to calculator of, for example, let's say 10 comma 20. We don't do like this in the same file. But in order to test your functionality to make sure whether it's working or not, so what you can do is you can create a you can create an object and test it. So basic testing is fine. If you want to test it, that's okay. But you see, it is failing, right? And why it is failing? Then since it required the constructor required two arguments, right? Correct. Now here I have to pass. Let's say x equal to 20, comma y equal to let's say 40. Now 20 power 40. The first one would return, but here it is not returning, right? Because I just created an object, but I didn't use its attributes or methods, isn't it? See, it's happy. But what is the problem here? The problem here is that you know if I make this is fine. If I want to use the functionality calculate dot, let's say what is the power? That's it. If you use it and if you just try to print it, let's say print um, calculate power, you can quickly see. Did you see this? Why? This is a very big number. This is a very big number, right? Did you see this? Why? Because 20 power 40, which means that 20 into 20 into 20 into 40 times. Understood? So that's why you are seeing this much a big number. Got it? So this is how this is a power of Python. So Python can perform any kind of validation. Even it can store even when it comes to the C, Java, and other programming languages, right? So for storing integer, it has some limitation. It cannot store a very big number, like this. Understood? So the maximum number it would store is some for example, if you want to check also, I think you can experiment that. That's okay. Yeah, but we can test like this. So this is tested. Now if I want to test let's say division one, calc one dot division. That's it. Now if we go and test it, division also zero point 0.5. Why? 20 by 40, right? 1 by 2, which is 0.5. Got it? Yeah, makes sense, huh? Yes. Okay. So in the real time, like you are thinking that Kumar, I understand like you are whatever you're saying, I'm okay with it. But how this can be useful in the real time? right? In the real time, how we will play is, for example, think about a scenario where you want to create a database object. So this is the calculator object now. So understood, this is a calculator object, and you want to write a database object. You want to create a database object. Using that database object, you want to perform database operations. Let's say inserting some data into the table, exposure table, or fetching the data, updating the data, deleting the data. Understood? So meaning you will be creating like this, something like this, and you will have all the database related functionalities. Make sense, huh, guys? We're able to relate to that now. Got it? Yeah. And in the real time, how this is being used, or how we will how and which standard we will use. So currently what we do is we will write like this, and also as mentioned, writing a proper documentation strings are very important. So you'll be writing like this: class 2, class 2 defined, class is defined to perform all calculator operations. You got it? Also, you can individually also you can write. So since you already know how to define a function, how to define a for documentation string, right? Initialization of x and y. Got it? It also has, just like initialization. And when it comes to this perform power of the operands. Got it? Here. Did you understood? So how neatly it is growing now? This becomes more professional now, right? Performs performs the division. No? Or operands. Make sense? Yeah. Now, so this is how we create a calculator, right? Now, how this can be used, right? How this can be used, and where this can be used. So generally, it will be somewhere in the, let's say for example, calculator operations, right? We don't do like this. Instead, we create a package. For example, cal package is meant for to store this one. I just you can also do a drag and drop, guys. Okay, I created a drag and dropped it. Okay, and this is example for example here. Now, so this is one basic example. Let me quickly create one more package. Oh, let me kick this out, guys. Refactor. Got it. Now, so how this calculator being used? Let me go ahead and create a create a one more package called apps package. In this apps package, we used to have a app.py file. Okay, all right. Now, so one package has calculator operations for calculator operations, right? And see here now. So let's say I'm writing some basic functionality to do basic operations of any calculations. Let's say write a program, write a program to calculate division of, write a program to calculate division of two operands. Okay. So what we do is, instead of writing logic here in the application file, we don't basically we don't write a business logic inside the application. Okay, so we will write a basically the top level logic of the application, but the low level logic, right? The core logic would be hidden somewhere in the other package or library. Understood? Now, if in order to find operands, let's say user will pass the data. For example, let's say user will decides uh, let's say x equal to or anything, input one equal to, for example, input one equal to input function, and say here enter the first value. Okay, next input two equal to enter the second value. Got it? So if we trigger this, you will get we will just it would only do this. But what you have to do, if it is a value, then you have to do a conversion, isn't it? Got it? Right. Now we are good at taking the data, right? Now what you want to do, write a program to calculate a division of two operands. So now it is clear that our logic is already well written here for division. Got it? Even for power, even if you want to do a addition, it's very simple. Just say addition, right? So bar test. Guys, did you understood? So if you know one function, let's say if you understood, if you see, this is one of the core thing for for any installations. You need to understand what is the core installation to be taken care. Otherwise, without, see, for example, let's say you are trying to initialize only x, but you forgot to initialize y. So what will happen? You cannot do this operation, right? Because you cannot do a power operation with only one operand. You cannot do division with one operand. Even applies to addition as well. Understood? And that's where installation of the required things for the rest of the methods is very, very important. What is to be required? You got it? Is there any dependency? So like this, we have to we have to define a constructor. Constructor is one of the top one of the important thing, because it would tell us what needs to be initialized for doing the application, for application usage. Now now I want to use division, right? Now who can tell me, like, how can I use directly during modules, right? Models and package session, I clearly explain how to use a model, how to use a method. So not method, how to use a model or how to use a package or library, right? So how I want how if, for example, if I want to use the calculator logic here, how can I do it? Correct. So from calculator, right? Import calculator, from calculator import. What you want to do? See, for this particular program, we want to do a division only. Correct. I can directly import only what? I cannot import only. See, if you see here, so calculator is the class, and in this class, right? In this class, if you want to use the method, you have to create a you have to create an object. Then only you can access the method, right? You got it? So you have to import a calculator. Makes sense. Now, if you want to access the division method now, so how you can access? You can access through the object, right? Now, in this, what you can do, what you can do is, say calculator object equal to calculator equal to, you can create this object here. So what are the values? Input one comma input two. Makes sense, huh? Now we initialized. Now what you want to perform? Division. Calculator dot division. Say print division. Division of input one and input 2 is, what is it? So how can I write it? Calculator dot division of what? Input 1, comma, input 2. Guys, make sense, huh? Did you understood? Guys, where? Oh, okay. Right, right. No, I just initially thought of writing only one, but to make it more meaningful, I just added. All right. So this would make more sense, right? Did you see this? Input one comma input two. So here it is saying like, hey, your calculated dot division, you are doing this, that's fine. But what is this? See, currently what I'm doing here, I should not do this, isn't it? Why? Because division function does not take anything. Simply we are directly initializing here. Once we initialize it, you can directly use, you can directly apply the methods, right? Yeah. Guys, make sense, huh? How we have done here? We created a, we initialized the object by, let's say object equal to calculator, cal equal to calculator, and we initialized it. While calling itself, I passed x and y value, and then directly used the method without passing any arguments to it. Got it? Yeah. If I go and trigger this, enter the first value. Let's say I want to know 100. Second value, let's say 20, for example. So what is the division? Did you see this? Division of 120 is 5. 100 by 20, right? Yeah, makes sense, huh? That's clear, huh? Which means that no, this is how in the real time we use. We create a class somewhere, we will during the project or project structuring, we will understand how the project would be structured. Like what are the modules or what are the packages to be created for what purpose. So for example, in the real time application development, right? So let me quickly show you one sample structure. uh, how we do is think about the database operations, right? So here db connections. So we'll create one package called db connection. Understood? And in that we will have a file, let's say db operation, or the file db connections, or yeah, db connection.py, right? Right. If you in this see in this, what we will have is we will create a class. We will create a class for, let's say, classes db, for example, and here we will initialize df init, okay, comma. Now, so to initialize what basically we don't generally, right? So for db initialization, we don't pass any arguments. Instead, what we can do is directly we will take the data from the, for example, for to initialize the database, we need a username, we need a password. We know the we should understand where is the host, where the DB is hosted, and what is the port number, and what is the maintenance DB. We will initialize everything here in one go. You got it? All, for example, let's say username equal to. So, for example, username can be, it can come from local, like, from the system settings. Let's say os dot uh, get env, for example, and let's say environment variable name is uh, username, password. This data can come from anywhere, guys. Okay, but don't worry. So with real time, we will go to the host, something like this. Understood? Host, port number, and everything else. And also it creates, during the initialization itself, we will create a database connection, let's say, or DB connection equal to, for example, let's say logic 2 connection here, whatever the logic, okay. And here, and then what we do is, let's say, get data, for example, get data, or so for example, get person data. So for getting person data, what we need to do is, we need a person ID, for example. We got it. Let us say, how we can write. So let's start from some logic, right? That is in SQL. Uh, you know, we will write logic in the Pythonic alchemy style. You got it. So like this, we will initialize all the things, everything, and wherever you want to use, right? So wherever you want to use the database related operations inside the application. So along with this, how we can do it? Same thing. You can also import. Let's say if you want, let's application required DB, for example, then say from DB connections import DB class. Guys, understood how we were doing it in the real time? Same thing will be same thing will be written. You got it? How we are doing? Yeah. Now we will keep this DB related things aside because we want to work. We want to learn in the other parts of it. Understood? Yeah. Now, so if you see, the class is being created with this data. And in order to work on this, guys, and one more important thing, we also need to understand if the method is created like this. Imagine if it is only 33 lines. Let's say tomorrow I ask you to implement one more function which would perform addition of any data, for example. So let's say, so to perform addition for any given inputs, let's say it can be two, three, or a number of inputs. So what is the logic? Advanced advanced add. So advanced add, like normal. See here, even when you're checking out, when you're working on the features, right? Like there will be some normal feature where it does the basic operation, and there is some advanced feature where it does complex things. Eh, You got it? Let's say here, if you write like cell dot advanced of add. So what it takes input now. For example, let's say single star data, for example. You got it? And when it comes to real time, when it comes in the real time, if the data is if you want to do a addition of every data, every information, let's say this comes as a tuple, is it? If you pass data to the advanced add, if you call this function, if you create object for this, right? If you create object for this, and you are initializing self dot x and y, that's fine, but you are not using x and y for the advanced because this is bit this is not what we can say. So cell dot x and y is not required because this is independently we need to focus for individual data. We got it? Now return, we can directly use sum, is it? Sum of data. Guys, did we? I think we have learned, is it? Directly how we can do the addition for multiple given inputs. Yeah. Now same thing in the application. Now how we can use it? Same thing. See, perform addition for a number of inputs, or let's say calculator dot. So advanced add, right? This is the method. Got it? Now, so it requires what? Now we can pass a number of data to it, isn't it? Let's say you pass 10, 20, 30, for example. So what is the value of this? It should return me 60. Say addition of all data is, it makes sense, right? If I trigger this out, into the first value. Anyway, this is of no use for us, but here also I'm printing out, right? So I don't want to do it. Cancel. I'm not doing anything with this 45, 70. But did you see this? Addition of all data is what? 60. Okay. And what is the important things to learn actually in this session? So important points are very simple. See, we are initializing. Now it's our turn to whether I can use the initialized values or I can also pass some dynamic values in the real time. You got it? So here I have initialized during the object creation. Now, what is the catch here? So in this session, primarily, we are focusing on, we should use all the concepts of functions, whatever we have learned. Got it? Think about this scenario. Let's say here, what is this? This is a mandatory parameters, right? For a function, mandatory parameters. Yes or no? We had, is it? We had two mandatory parameters, right? Got it. And here, function does not have parameters. Does not have parameters. Here, no. But here, function have one mandatory parameter again. No, sorry, it's not mandatory, it's optional, right? When you put star, which star itself meaning that it's optional. If you can pass, you cannot pass. Okay, so but what really happen if you don't pass? What will be the value it will return, guys? Sum of empty, right? Sum of empty is what? Zero only, no? Guys, makes sense, huh? Let's say if I don't pass this, remove, wipe out this, and got it? How come it is coming zero? Because you're not passing any data to it. Guys, make sense or no? Team, following or no? All right. Okay. So the catch here is uh, what we need to do is we need to use all the functions. We need to create, here this two are what? Normal functions with no arguments. Function. I'll do one thing. So I would create a section methods with no arguments. Got it? Until where? Until here, right? And so at this point, like until this point, what we have done? So we were using the initialization values into this methods. Okay. Now function with one one argument. Function with one argument. For example, let's say whatever number I pass, right? Uh, yeah, function with one argument. I'll kick this out. So for example, function with one argument, which function I can write? So we can write a square function, right? Let's say whatever the number you are passing, it has to return the square of it. Let's say if you have passed number 2, so it has to return me 2 square, which is 4. If you pass 4, it has to give me 4 square. Got it? Let's say let me define a function df, right? Square it. What is the function name? Guys, did you also understood how I am writing the function names? Guys, in the real time, it is very important how you're what the way you're writing a function. It has to make sense to other developers. You got it? If you see what is the function name, square it. You got it? It does. It sounds really good, right? Even in the real time, we have to write the same similar kind. You got it? Let's say you want to make a database authentication, so you should write dbauth. Understood? So writing writing meaningful and better readable function are very very important in the application, which would help us to understand, or even it has to it adds the readability, or even the maintainability of the application. Yeah, makes sense now. So square it. For square it, what we need? So I cannot use. See, I can use. See, I can use x or y. But if I don't use, if I don't, if I put some x and y, it would always take the x and y only. But I don't want to use x and y for square it. Instead, what I need to do, I need to use my own data. Whatever data I pass here, let's say n value or number. Okay. So for square it, I get a number. And what is the logic, guys? What is the core logic for square it? Number into. Is it into or double star? Anyone? Right. Got it? If you do into, then it is like 10 into 2, for example, 20. But what we need, we need number into number. You mean something like this? No, but correct. 4 into see, we need a square of it, right? If you do square means what? Number square, number power 2. If you want 3, again you need to write logic like number into number into number for 4 times, number into number into number into. You got it? The best practice is we should write number double star 2. Yeah, that does, but we have to write this way, this style. Got it? Yeah. So even this is fine. So method with one argument, right? Cool. Next, let's say method with 2 mandatory arguments. Two mandatory arguments. So here, for example, let's say think about a scenario where we want to perform two operations. Yeah, of course, addition works. Let's talk about what we can say. We can do a multiplication, for example. I can use that, use the initialization values, or I can pass here. I'll pass. I don't want to. Sometimes, right? We might take the installation value, or we see installation value we can take. If you are not passing, uh, this one also, even for example, if person passed the number data, see, think about a scenario where if person called the square, but let's say if the person has not passed anything, for example, let's say, no, this is a mandatory, right? Let's do it. For example, let's say um, or a comma b, for example. That's okay. So here, what are a comma b? A comma b are what? Mandatory arguments, right? Because it does not have any default data. Got it? Let's say this is not a square it this time. For example, it's a multiplication, right? If you want to do multiplication, what you can do? For example, let's say here a and b are there, and you want to do a multiplication. So how this can be written? A star b. Guys, did you understood? This is how we can this is how we can write a multiplication thing, right? These two mandatory arguments. And so think about a scenario where, so these are two mandatory, right? Cool. Next, two optional. How we can write two optional? With two optional arguments. Guess clear, huh? So here this time, let's say multiplication 2, for example. Multiplication above is multiplication 1. Both there's a multiplication only. Okay. So here it must require two mandatory arguments. But here think about a scenario where you don't have a proper let's say user didn't send anything. Okay. That time what you need to do is you need to take the data, So if let's say if user, by default it is 0, for example. Got it? Now if user sends data for multiplication, please do it. If user is not sending, let's say 0 on 0, like multiplication for multiplication, or basically we don't put 0 in instead we will put a none. Actually default we set none as the value. Understood? Now if user sends data, then what it does is, if for example let's say if a, if not a, if not a, and if not a and not b. Guys, understood? Huh? Which means that, for example, let's say if not of none, for example, which means that what? So a and b values are not given. Guys, clear? Huh? Guys, you're okay with this statement? You're okay with this condition? See, what we are doing is, see here, a is none by default values. A and b are none. Understood? Not a. See, not of none. What is the value? Not of none means what? Not of false, correct? What is the value? True, correct? True, correct? Not of b, true, correct? If it is default none, isn't it? If both are, none, meaning what? If both are none, what you have to do? You have to take the default value, the default value, initialization value. Understood? Let's say if a and b are both are none, right? Then what you have to do? You have to do a multiplication, but with default initialization value. What, like the function is created, right? Sorry, the object is created using class, right? We have to use that particular we have to use that particular initialization value of the class. You got it? So how we can do it? Self dot x star self dot y. Yes, makes sense, huh? Else directly you can write. See, you can write else. You can write else return a star b. Yes, makes sense or no? Did you understood how this function is being used? This is used for two different purposes. One with the data, one without data. Hey, when this would trigger this condition, like no, do a calculation of inputs. If there is no input from the user, okay. If there is input from the user, right, this condition become false, right? It would comes to else block. Makes sense, huh? Right? In the real time, how we write is we don't put else here actually. So once it is meeting here, once the condition is true, for example, it simply return this value, right? We will instead, what we do is we will directly write return statement outside of the if block. What will happen in this case? Now, did you understood? If condition is, see, if the condition is true, for example, this condition, then it executes this and returns the value from the function. Okay. If condition fail, it skips right directly. Simply returns the a star b. Makes sense, huh? Now what we can do is I'll be using the same function in the other application now. So here, let me put a comment here, guys. This makes, like, no, for you it looks very tiny, small programs, but real time this really sounds really good. If you don't understand how it is working, right? Now, did you understood the complexity in this? In one go we have mentioned two things. See, the logic will be same. It is doing x and y, multiplication only, but on which data? If values were not passed, then initialization data. If values are passed a and b, then it does the a star b. Got it? Let's do it. Let's try to test this. So print now. So for multiplication, right? Multiplication 2, this is multiplication 2, that's a advanced one, right? If multiplication 2, now I didn't pass anything, right? If I trigger this, it takes, it takes x and y value, right? The initial let's say 10 and 10, 20, 200. Did you see this? Why? I didn't pass anything, right? I didn't pass anything. That's why defaultly it is taken mul2. If I go back here, what is the logic here? If you are not passing this x and y value to this mul2 function, because it's optional, right? The method with two optional arguments. This a and b are optional. Understood? That's why directly it has done this. Okay, you can also mention, let me also do one thing. I'll put some statements here. Let's say print using constructor, using constructor initialized, using constructor initialized inputs. Okay, got it. And here I'll put one more thing. Print say using function parameters, using function parameters values. Yes, makes sense, huh? This would make sense now, right? Now, if I go and trigger this one more time, application, it, yeah. So value is, let's say 34 and let's say 75, 67, for example. Now, did you see this? Since I'm not passing any inputs to it, what it is doing? It went in, it went in here. It is, since A and B are none, right? So condition become true and it printed this statement. Did you see this? And return the data. And it is not meeting this guy. Understood? So this time what I'm going to do is, I would say calculator dot mul of 2, multi-second advanced one. And here I am passing 45 comma 2, right? 90. Now, if I go and trigger, though I'm passing, let's say 50 and 100, for example. So what is the value? 50, 100, 50 into 100, 5,000, right? But what happened here? This time I'm passing this 45 and 2 to what? So A become 45 and B become 2, right? And this condition, not of 45. See, not of some value means what? Not of 0 means true. Not of any value. It can be positive number or negative number. It should be what? False, right? Isn't it? During operator concept, we clearly learned that for each and every data type, what is true case and what is false case, right? For example, for number except 0, remaining all cases for all numbers, positive and negative number, true value. For list, if it is empty list, then only false. If it list is containing some data, true, right? We learned all the concepts, right? So refer back all the concepts and touch base with the concepts are very important. Otherwise, you might be thinking like how it is getting translated to true or false, right? You might be thinking that, hey, are you mad because you are sending some value and you are saying that true or false, right? So that's where always touch base with the concepts are critically important, guys. Yeah. Now, so in this particular case, what really happened? So in this case, you know, I have passed, though I have initialized 50 and 100, but for this particular specific function I have passed 45 and 2, which is went here, A become 45 and B become 2, right? And not of 45, which become false. False and false becomes false. Got it? Which means that this condition will be, or this block will be skipped off, and then it will, now this time it will go after entering this, right? It will directly go here. See, entered 100, right? Did you see this? Since I have passed here, since I passed 45 and 2, it has taken the value. It has taken the value. It become fail. That's why it is saying like using function parameters values. Seen that? And A star B. Yeah, makes sense. So currently, guys, and one more important thing. Currently, see, I'm not doing any validation still, right? But what is the real time? When you are playing with this, it's critical that you need to check what type of the data it is. If the type is, if the type is not an integer, then before, see, if type is not integer, you cannot do any operation, right? In one go. Hey, did we also discuss about ternary operator, guys? Ternary during ternary, let's say, um, I think let me give a quick intro about that, right? So it not linked to this too, but guys, did we discuss yes or no? Can you confirm someone? Ternary operator? No, right? Thank you. So ternary operator. So ternary operator is very simple. See, it is simple that let's say x equal to, for example, 100. If, for example, let's say some condition, let's say 10 greater than 5, for example, else 200. Guys, did you understood now? So what will happen? See, x value become only one of these two. Understood? But it is a conditional based. If condition is true, then it assigns the left side value. If the condition is false, then it assigns the right side value. So this particular case, what is the value here? Condition is true. So x becomes 100. That's clear, huh? Yeah, makes sense. Right. So let me give a one syntax here quickly. Syntax is x equal to true, condition, okay, false. Got it? So this is the syntax. Okay. See, if condition here, if condition true, for example, think about the condition true, then it assigns the true value to the x. If condition is fail, for example, right, then assigns the false value to the x. Clear, huh? At least now. So this time x is this. Let's say x equal to. So in the same value, let's say 10 less than 5. Now, what is the x value of here? Right. What is the x value of here? 200. Got it? And if you see this condition, right, this can be any condition. Even we can directly apply type of type of x equal to w equal to integer, type of y w equal to integer. You got it? Do you understood what I'm trying to say here? Hmm? So how this can be done? So here, let's say, think about a scenario where you want to do such kind of operations. Now this is some bit complex, and it's easy only still. Let's say if you want to perform, um, if condition is true, then let's say input one equal to 100, input two equal to 200. Okay. Now perform addition if let's say x result equal to perform addition if condition is true. Let's say if directly I'm putting some condition or not required. So let's say 100 plus 200 if let's say 10 greater than 5 or 2, else 100 minus 200. Guys, make sense, huh? Does does it make sense, right? So if it is condition is true, perform this. Condition is false, perform this. In this place, you can also do some operations, guys. That's fine. You can call, see, if it is this, do this. Else, instead of this, you can also call some function, get the value from there and keep it here. You got it? Even those are those are advanced ones. And even in the I think in interview they'll ask, can you explain about ternary operator? Right? So ternary operator is something where we we define the values based on, we will give two values if based on the condition. If condition is true, then do this, else do this. Yeah. All right, I think we have taken a diver. So you were clear out with even ternary operator, right? So ternary operator, I think I can kick it to other module. Don't want to mess up here. Mm, say, all right. Hmm. What's the problem here? Yeah, right. So we were clear about even method with two optional arguments, right? See, did you see how we were doing it? Yeah. Now, no, I'm see what I'm trying to justify here is that we can apply every concept of functions into a method concept in the class. So method is just like a function, okay? Right. Next one is right. So the here itself, in the same way. So here with call by value, right? Call by value. How this can be used call by reference? So you can define into two variables. You can define two variables and pass that variable references, right? That's how, isn't it? And call by value, call by reference. And one more thing is that there is a concept called method overloading and method overriding. This is even one of the very good uh, you know important question in an interview. Also, they'll ask, "Hey, what is method overloading and what is method overriding?" Got it? So for that, let me give a small example. Not with this. Say I can use extras for that. That's where I have created method overloading and overriding. Okay. So one first concept is method overloading. Got it? See, what is method overloading is same method being used for multiple, for example, let's say method overloading. For example, think about the scenario. I will create one method. For example, let's say df get get some, for example. Okay, and here I'll pass this dot store add or dot store data, for example. Got it? And what it does is simply return sum of data. Got it? Guys, this is called method overloading. Okay. He was saying that, hey Kumar, you just written a two-liner. You define a function and you put star out there, and you are simply getting the data, right? Simply see what is overloading, right? Same method being used for doing multiple operations. Let's say, imagine uh, function used to find sum of two values. Got it? Now, how I can do this? 10, 20, for example, 29, whatever it is. And if you see, if I go and print this out, right? What did you notice? You are 29, you are 39, 39, right? 10 plus 29, 39, right? See, what is method overloading is same function user for same function, same function being used for, guys, once again, I had to attend the call, important. I think, yeah, we're good. All right. So here, method overloading. Can you please confirm, guys? You okay with it? Is it? Hello. Can you confirm the audio, guys? Audible, right? And you're able to see my screen, is it? Okay. See, method overloading is same function being used for multiple purposes. Okay. So here, so when you look at this, what did you notice? See, I for doing calculation of two inputs, let's say two inputs, I have used this function, and even for calculating multiple ones, 50, 100, you got it? So when I do this, what will happen? See, same function being used for multiple purposes, right? It is used to calculate for two inputs, or like two or more inputs. You got it? So this kind of functions we used to call, a function overloading or method overloading. Yeah, makes sense, huh? Single function being used for multiple purposes. And even you can also say a length also a method overloading built-in function. How? Length is being used to calculate length of a list, correct? Let's say 1 comma 2 comma 3, for example, right? And same length function being used to calculate a string, let's say India, and same thing used to calculate find the items in a dictionary. Guys, understood? Huh? Did you understood the concept of method overloading? Make sense? Any confusion in this? Yeah. Even in the real time, you can give this example. Understood? Next, what is method? See, this is a concept of method overloading. Okay. So if we trigger this, if we print, got it. See, what is the list items? Three. String five. And this is a dictionary. Isn't it? It gave the length of this individuals. This is why we used to call as a even length function also. It's a overloaded function. Clear? Huh? Same function being used for finding length of different data types. As same function used to find length of different data types. Make sense, huh? Guys, clear? This is what overloading. Okay. Next, let me give one more example. Method overriding. Okay. So overriding in the sense, see the one function overrides with other. For example, think about this. So I had a same function to get a uh, let's say addition. For example, addition function. First addition function is this. Let's say x comma y. For example, what it does is it return x plus y. Got it? And what I'll do is I'm doing one more thing. Let's say again same function. I define one more define one more definition. And here x, y, and z. Got it? So here x and y and z. Yeah, makes sense. And return x plus y plus z. Guys, did you understood? So what really happened? if you see, if you just mouse over here, it is a function definition, right? This is a function definition. But what did you understand here? Now, so if you go here, redeclared definition above without uses, understood? So if you see now, if I call add function, for example, for performing 10 comma 20, so what happened? What really happened already? See, I passed 10 comma 20. So what is your expectation, guys? So you might be thinking that, hey, Kumar, there is a function add which takes two inputs, right? Got it. And did you see? See, let me give one more hint actually. Let's say imagine a equal 10, a equal to 20, right? Print a. So what would be the output of this? Who can tell me? You got it? Same thing. You defined add function. Again, you define add function. Got it? You define add here first time. You define add second time. You got it? Two definitions. And now you're calling here. You're printing like this. You're calling, add of 10 comma 20. Now, which function it would solve? It would call. Did it call first function or second function? Second one. Why? Because it is overridden. The first function, the first function overridden with the second function. You got it? Now, when you call this function, that's this is a hint I given. Let me. So hints are why I has to give is it would make sense, when you're referring, right? It would make sense to understand. Oh, this is how it is. You got it? Yeah. If I call this, it would raise a type error. Now, did you see? Right, because since the second method is overridden with the first method, that's where it is not happy with it. Hey, you're calling me, but I need three. Why you have said only two? You got it? Yeah. So how we can fix this? I can add one more. For Z. Make sense? Since I didn't print it, so if you want to get the data, apply print. Guys, make sense? You're okay with it, is it? So now, did you understood about concept of method overloading and method overriding? Clear, huh? Yeah. So in the sense here, if you want to understand this style, if you go back to the app.py, sorry here. So we have declared in the uh, we have declared where we have declared power and here. Oh, okay. We didn't even added this, right? Store. No, some we have written, no, like some add, right? Added one something. Oh, add we didn't add it, huh? What? Multiplication. Oh, here. So now did you understood? So this is what? This is overloaded, right? This is method overloading. Understood? When it comes to function, see, method function both are same. But when you're defining method function within the class, right? That's where we used to call as a method, right? That's where the concept itself, overloading, method overriding. Understood? So you can directly give this example. That's fine. Method overloading, right? Cool. Now, how about method overriding? Same. Let's say you can write uh, let's say method one, for example. Okay, method one. It is taking, let's say, two inputs or one input, for example, A, pass, and you will write one more method, M2. Understood? It required A comma B, for example, pass. Now, did you understood? So, sorry, this is also M1, not M2. Yeah, M1. Now, did you understood? So here, this method is method overloading, and what is this to M1 is redeclared, redefined one more time. So this is what method overriding. So when you do this, then you are in trouble. Why? Method overriding. Just clear? Huh? You understood? Any questions in this, guys? Or you're fine? Method overloading and overriding. You can give a best example, is it? Any questions from anyone else in this? Mm-hmm. Nice. Yes. No, when it comes to overloading, once again, let me take you there. See, this is overloading, right? Overloading in the sense it can take a number of arguments. There is no fixed or defined number. You got it? So star is being used for implementing method overloading. Yeah, in the real time, most likely we use a star for implementing overloading. Yeah. All right. Any questions in this still? You're good, is it? Yeah, so we used to use a lot. We need to understand. See, sometimes, right? People will, in the real time, what might have happened, right? So one class has M1, and second class you are inherited, other one. But when you're trying to do, you are thinking that your function require only one, one input or one argument. But when you try to print it, when you try to access it, let's say currently let's do it, in the application. Let me try accessing M1, print calculate dot M1, for example, right? So for M1, how many it is required? Quickly go back here. It required, see, for this one it one and this is two. But since it's overridden, right? So it required two. So now I'll try calling without any arguments, for example. If I trigger this, okay, this is first and second value for what? It is for initialization of the class. Got it? Yeah. Did you see? When I trigger this and application in the application when I tried calling, right, calculation of M1. So this is not happy. Why this is not happy? Because M1 required two, isn't it? So if I go back here, since it required two, right? That's where it is failing. Now did you understand? If we pass 10, for example, if I trigger this, still it is missing one. Why? Because M1 is overridden. Overridden function has two mandatory overridden function has two mandatory arguments. Understood? That's why it is not happy with it. So if you want to satisfy it, you need to pass two mandatory arguments. If I trigger this, then you're good. Does make sense, huh? You're fine. M1 function does not it is not doing anything, right? Because I just had a to demonstrate, I just define two different arguments and not doing anything. Simply it has a pass statement, nothing else. Yeah. Does this make sense, guys? You understood, right? How I am doing with class things. So here, like, what are the concepts we touched on today? So if you see, So understood. So topic is in constructor. We have touched constructor, right? Creating class, right? Defined class, correct? And then created instance, instance or at instant, yeah, instant or object, right? And then we have method, method overloading and overriding, right? And ternary, right? Also applied few function concepts, right? Call by value, call by reference. Also a few concepts, right? Let's say uh, method, method, uh, method, no arguments, right? With methods, no arguments. Method with one argument, right? Got it? Method with mandatory, method with right, method with two optional means, isn't it? Method. Mm, yeah, I think yeah, this is it. Anything else we missed it, guys? If I quickly go back to a calculator constructor, few examples with see this is what I mentioned with no arguments, right? And with one argument, right? With two arguments, two mandatory arguments, two optional arguments, right? And the method overloading, overriding. Got it? Yeah. And also, did I mention anything else also? Uh, sample also sample real time usage of constructor constructor with DB initialization class example, right? And then what else we added? We also added method over ternary also we made it. Um, right. Also created a sample. Yeah, this is sample. We already covered up, right? Created a yeah, cool. Now handout. Handout is what basically we need to do is we need to use all function concepts, all function concepts in a class. Understood? So what you have to do is you have to use all the concepts whichever we have learnt from the functions, right? We should start using it, isn't it? So there is a lot. I think you got a lot of you got a lot of data over there already, right? So you got a lot of data on um, so use all function concepts in class, and with with minimum one example. Okay. A- and you see, this is what the first task. Second task is I will share. I'll share the use cases. I'll share the use cases for for all the topics covered so far. Not only use cases, I'll share the use cases or interview questions for all topics covered so far. Okay, and during the weekend, the plan is that we will have a exam. Okay, until whatever we learned so far. So we will be having an exam on that. Okay, so that's really critical because you have to refer, you have to revise all the topics that we covered so far, which is critical for us. Yeah, because these topics we will use extensively. You must have started understood that how I started using, right? See, though it looks very simple, but it makes more sense. Did you understood? In one example itself, I covered majority of the topics. That's where I written all the topics here. You guys make sense? Nah. Oh, right, right. So I'll be sharing right away. I'll be sharing right away, and there is, as mentioned, many use cases I'll be sharing, on the fly. Okay. It may be this can be direct. What we can say, direct questions, or I can think of some use case and share it on the fly. Okay. Yeah. So work hard, guys, and also during weekend we will plan to have a one real time use. We will take some real time use case on the application side, and also look at how that can be implemented. That's also that is a planned one. So when you want to take an exam on this concepts, guys, so far, when you want to take exam, would it be fine for morning or afternoon? Like your comfortability is fine. Is someone on the shift tomorrow? Okay. How about Aparna? 77. Your primary, is it? Okay. All right. All right. So we'll catch up. That's fine. But who are available, you can take an exam. So Priyanka, like, would it?